Welcome to the Betty Rocker Show, the place to be to nourish your mind, love your body, and rock your life. What's up, rock stars? Coach Betty Rocker here. Thanks so much for tuning in. I just finished a workout and I was reflecting back to before I became a trainer. Back in my 20s, I would train way too much and I didn't really understand how much impact the things I did around my workouts really had on my training results. I would get sick more often and sometimes I just really struggled to lose body fat, and I didn't get that toned look I wanted either, even though I was training a lot. And this is something I was able to correct in my 30s and really build healthier habits around that have set me up for a strong and healthy decade in my 40s. And I've been, of course, adding to that knowledge with continuing education and research so I can set myself up for my 50s, because I'm always thinking of how can I take care of the woman I'll be in 10 years? And that, of course, brings me to you, because no matter what age you are at, as I reflect back over the years, I realize that there are a few key things that we can do around our workouts that make the time we spend doing them actually pay off and add up to the results we want to see, so we can take care of ourselves in every decade. And I'm going to go out on a limb here a little and guess that some of the results you want to see are a stronger body, healthier joints, better mobility, and for some of you, less body fat. Maybe you want to lose weight and get toned, and getting toned just means you'll see your muscle tone and lose body fat, in essence shifting your body composition. And all of these goals can be accomplished by creating an optimal state in your body for fat loss to occur efficiently and muscle tissue to strengthen. And I know that there are a lot of workouts out there that promise you results with specific parts of your body, but what happens inside us at a cellular level in response to any workout that you do is this complex chain of events that all contribute to how that workout really plays out and the results you get from it. So some of it comes from how you rest and recover after your workouts. Some of it comes from how you fuel around your workouts. Some of it comes from the amount of sleep you get, and some comes from how much stress you're dealing with. And then there's this layer that we as women have to think about, which is how are all of those things affected by the life stage you're in and the hormone levels you currently have? Because we don't often think about how a workout fits into a holistic chain of events, and we kind of think of the workout as the thing that gets us results. We sometimes put too much emphasis on our workouts and end up overtraining, which actually backfires. And that's one of the mistakes I made in my 20s. So the reason overtraining backfires on us is because when we work out, we create an inflammatory response in our tissue by creating micro tears in the muscle. This is why I always say exercise is a healthy stress when we are healthy, because exercising when our system is already stressed or inflamed does not contribute to muscle strength or fat loss. It actually creates more muscle loss and can be a contributing factor in fat storage. So if you don't get enough recovery and rest after you train, you'll stay in an inflamed state from your workouts and not be able to repair the muscle tissue, which means you'll always be losing it faster than you can rebuild it. And this is where a lot of women go wrong. They keep training and training and training and thinking they're going to lose the weight, but it's actually keeping them stuck in an inflamed state that contributes to weight gain and muscle loss. Not to mention, a heightened state of inflammation does not do us any favors in general. It contributes to achy joints and soreness that doesn't go away and can lead to injury. And we don't want to ignore that. That achiness and soreness is a sign of inflammation, and we really need to be careful that we're not making it worse. So the times that you'll notice it the most if you overtrain are going to be in the second half of your cycle, when your estrogen levels are lowest. This is after ovulation. And this is also compounded by perimenopause, because our cycles start to slow down and our estrogen levels start to drop overall. You'll also notice the impact of overtraining really significantly post-menopause, in the absence of that E2 estrogen or estradiol, which is our most anabolic estrogen, meaning muscle supporting, and we start to lose it completely. It's one of the 3 types of estrogen that gives us that extra resilience when we have it. And you may notice the signs of overtraining if you are working out on misaligned joints, or you do a lot of repetitive motion in your job that contributes to imbalanced posture. We want to make sure we're not overtraining muscles in our workouts that are already getting overuse in our day-to-day life. So We really want to be training effectively and strategically when we work out. And then we want to be taking the recovery and rest we need after we train. What does effective training look like? So you want to challenge your body enough when you train to stimulate an adaptive response. I suggest a combination of resistance training and explosive cardio to target both your aerobic and anaerobic zones and stimulate and strengthen your muscle. Resistance training can be anything, like with your own body weight, with weighted objects, like dumbbells, barbells, bands, exercise machines, the whole spectrum counts. And you can build your foundation first and then build on that over time by adding resistance and time spent training, which I'll talk more about in our next episode. If you're still in your cycling years, you can think of your training approach as a sort of undulating or circular path throughout the month. From when you get your period to when you ovulate, you have your highest levels of estrogen and you have the highest ability to go hard in your workouts, recover from your workouts you do, and you can build strength the easiest. So that's the first half of your cycle. And then from when you ovulate to when you get your period, estrogen drops down and progesterone jumps up to prepare the uterine lining for possible fertilization. Your basal body temperature is going to be a little higher at this stage, meaning your sleep will get a little lighter. It might be a little harder to recover from your workouts as the days pass, meaning you're gradually more tired up into your period. And you probably know this, right? Your inflammation levels will actually be higher then too. So it's a really good idea to do a slow taper down in the intensity of your workouts as you approach your period. This is the part of your cycle when you can take extra rest days or do lower impact workouts or shorten your workout sessions and just focus more on yoga and self-care as you get closer to your period. Everybody experiences this slightly differently, but the hormones really have a big impact on how you feel. So just giving yourself permission to back off and then ramp back up as your cycle shifts is a great thing to know you can do. And then when we get into perimenopause, our cycle starts to get more erratic. The levels of estrogen and progesterone that flood our body are not pumping through us on the same regular schedule. And this starts to affect our ability to build muscle, to recover from our workouts, and we might start getting tired even more easily, more often, and our stress levels can go up, all of which can contribute to more fat storage. Since our body temperature regulation also starts to get off kilter, this is also due to that shift in the hormone levels, and this is when you might start experiencing hot flashes and that sort of temperature dysregulation. So this is the time to start using alternative methods to target your muscle tissue to respond and for fat to mobilize. And we have to remember that muscle is this protective tissue. It helps surround and support our joints. It contributes to a healthy and robust immune system. And training it means we also support our bone density, and it makes us more efficient fat burners. So out with the endless cardio and the nonstop focus on just fat loss by itself. When we focus on training to strengthen our muscle tissue, fat loss becomes inevitable. So it's in perimenopause that we can start setting ourselves up with the strategies that will carry us forward into menopause and beyond. And this is where recovery becomes your new best friend. You want to provide your muscle tissue with enough of a stimulus to respond, and then support it with enough recovery to give it time to repair. If you overtrain, you're just going to be in a constant state of inflammation and breakdown without the time you need to repair your tissue, and without the heightened resilience and recovery you get from higher levels of estrogen. And the same things are true post-menopause, and they only get more pronounced. So in order for the tissue to repair and recover after a workout at any life stage, we have to be doing this other important piece around our training, which is, of course, fueling. So the body gets the building blocks it needs to build that muscle back strong, and so we have the energy we need to push through our training sessions. Coming into your workouts depleted, tired, stressed out, and underfueled can elevate your cortisol. So if you combine the cortisol load with the stress of the workout and you pair these on top of each other, you're creating this really heightened state of stress response, and that just contributes to more muscle breakdown and more fat storage. A study I learned about from my friend Dr. Stacy Sims was that a huge percentage of female athletes, and active women count as athletic here, suffer from something called LEA, which stands for low energy availability. And in a nutshell, LEA means you have limited energy available to support your normal body functions once the energy you burn through exercising is subtracted from your total dietary intake. In other words, if you're not eating enough, your body just can't sustain normal functions on top of your workouts. So when active women don't eat enough, our metabolic health and hormone levels, our bone density, mood, our ability to build lean muscle, and so much more are affected. And this is especially impactful in peri and postmenopause as we more easily lose our muscle tissue in the absence of our cycling hormones. So fueling around your workouts will allow for better adaptations, enhance energy output, and help you preserve the lean mass you have so you can build more and be a more efficient fat burner. So just be sure that you're not contributing to more muscle breakdown than you can rebuild by depriving yourself of nutrients your body needs to repair and recover. And one of the key nutrients that we want to be mindful of in each meal that we eat throughout the day is protein. You knew I was going to bring this up, right? The reason I'm so big on protein is because protein is big on us. It does a lot for us, and our needs for it actually shift over time. If you don't have enough amino acids from the protein you eat circulating in your system throughout the day, and your body needs to use them, it breaks down your muscle tissue to access the amino acids stored there, taking you further from your body composition goals. Less muscle tissue means less muscle tone. Less muscle means less speed to burn body fat, and less muscle means less support for your joints and bones. And the amino acids we get from our protein foods play this super important role in so many of our body processes. First, we need the aminos to support the repair process after our workouts, but we also need them for cognitive function. Did you know that the amino acids help provide the building blocks for neurotransmitters, which are messengers that carry information between our brain cells? The better the messengers are fed, the better they do at delivery of important information, supporting better memory and mental alertness. And our mood regulation also relies on amino acids. So without enough protein, your brain can't produce enough of those neurotransmitters like serotonin and dopamine. And this is essential for boosting your energy and providing mental clarity and making you feel happier, and also regulating pain and anxiety and initiating sleep. It's during the second half of your cycle actually when your mood starts to get a little erratic, and it can be really helpful to dial up your protein intake to get those amino acids, because it can really help support your brain and the inflammatory response from heightened progesterone and make some of those PMS symptoms more manageable. Just, something to know. You also need amino acids to make some of your hormones. Hormones have important signaling jobs in our bodies, like insulin and glucagon and human growth hormone, for instance, and they help communication happen between our organs and cells. And amino acids also help construct enzymes in our body, which help speed up important chemical reactions like muscle contraction and respiration, which is our breathing, and digestion, which we don't even have to think about, and nerve function, and so many more things. And if that wasn't enough, we also need amino acids for our immune system to function well. The amino acids in protein activate the natural killer cells that limit the spread of microbial infection in the body and really help identify and eliminate harmful bacteria. They also help regulate your response to oxidative stress and chronic inflammation, and they speed up the rate at which your body produces lymphocytes, which are disease-fighting cells. So this is why I keep talking about protein, and I want you to include it in every meal that you eat throughout the day and start paying attention to getting enough of it. And you can get protein from so many different types of foods. Just pay attention to getting a broad spectrum of amino acids, including, the amino acids that your body can't make on its own. Those are called the essential amino acids. And I mentioned a minute ago how upping your protein intake in the luteal phase, which is that second half of your cycle, can really help with PMS symptoms. But also as we age, we just don't absorb the amino acids from protein as easily, which means we need to eat more protein to do the same amount of work in our bodies as before. Now, active women under 40 can make do with 20 to 30 grams of protein per meal, and of course you can safely eat more than that. That's just a baseline. But active women over 40 should aim for more like 30 to 40 grams per meal as a baseline. You just need a little more to do the same amount as before, since your body isn't absorbing the amino acids as efficiently as it used to. This is a reason a lot of women notice a drop off in their muscle tone as they hit their 40s, because not only are their hormone levels dropping and they're maybe not implementing the training and recovery strategy I was talking about that would help them hold on to and build more muscle, but they're also just not aware of or eating enough protein, and that becomes a real problem for them now. because eating enough protein will give your body the building blocks it needs for all the things we talked about and help you also repair and preserve and strengthen your muscle tissue around your workouts. Because we're not building muscle during our workouts, we're breaking it down. It's after the workouts, when we're refueling, when we're recovering, that we actually start that process. And one of the cool things about protein is that it's even more satisfying than fat or carbs. So while I stress the importance of paying attention to the amount of protein in your meals, I don't really stress that as much for your carbs or fat. Instead, I just really suggest paying attention to the source of them, choosing them from whole food sources as much as possible, and eating to satisfaction, which is what I've taught for years. And that is because your body knows when it's full, either by the volume of food in your stomach or by nutrient density. And when you eat enough of these whole food nutrients and you're paying attention to protein, your body will know when it's full. You will just feel full. Remember that carbohydrates are broken down into glucose, which can be used for immediate energy or sent to your liver or your muscles, and it gets stored as glycogen. Your body needs this fuel for energy and performance in your workouts and for your recovery too. And when you don't have that ready energy source, your body is going to break down your muscle tissue, and we want to avoid that. So if you're avoiding carbs or you're avoiding this important nutrient component in your foods, you may be inadvertently causing more muscle breakdown than you want. And when it comes to fiber, absolutely super important component in our whole food carbs that helps to slow the release of sugar into the bloodstream, which gives you more steady energy, supports your healthy gut bacteria, your immune system, and really helps support that optimal digestive flow and keeps you regular. Fiber-rich carbs from fruit and vegetables and whole grains are really satisfying, and they digest more slowly. Plus, they won't trigger an insulin response like high sugar processed foods will. Speaking of sugar, protein can really help you if you struggle with cravings. It's the most satisfying nutrient, like we were saying before, even more than fat or carbs. And when you eat enough of it, it can help balance out your cravings. One of the impacts that too much sugar can have is actually lowering our testosterone. And side note, alcohol consumption does that as well, lowers our testosterone. And we need to be mindful and aware that lowered testosterone levels contribute to greater bone and muscle loss, especially in peri and post-menopause. And that's the time of our lives when those levels are naturally diminishing. So that's the time in our lives when we want to be really mindful of the double impact it can have to be eating a lot of sugar or maybe drinking a lot of alcohol. And of course, personal choice there, but I'll share, on a personal note that I really noticed how much harder even a glass of wine was hitting me once I got into perimenopause, and it was harder to recover. I felt bad, and so I just decided to take a break from alcohol, and I feel like it's really helped me a lot. I do want to touch a little bit on dietary fat, which helps fuel your muscles for low to moderate intensity activity. Healthy fat in your meals is also very satisfying, and it can help you feel more full when you include it in balance with the other nutrients, which means you won't overeat as easily. It helps slow down how quickly food exits your stomach, and this helps keep your blood sugar levels stable too, which prevents an insulin spike that can trigger fat storage. We just get more insulin sensitive as we age, so being mindful to keep the blood sugar stable is just even more important. And we want to keep in mind that some vitamins that your body really needs, like A, D, E, and K, are all fat soluble and can't be absorbed without the presence of dietary fat. So having enough healthy fat in your diet provides you with this lasting energy in your workouts and your daily activities, along with glycogen, which, to recap, is how your body stores glucose from carbohydrates. Fat is burned during exercise and low impact activities to spare the amino acids from protein in your muscle tissue. So back to how everything we're talking about is in support of making a workout effective. How we fuel and eat around our workouts has this huge impact on whether or not we'll be able to build and repair our muscle tissue after we train, and how that supports us and the energy we have and can bring to our training as well. So another important piece that can really impact your ability to recover and handle the inflammation created by a workout is the stress your body is dealing with when you come into your workout. And you've probably heard me talk about stress management when I talk about the 4 pillars of health, but Sometimes I think that's a hard concept to really approach because we're all dealing with stress all the time. Stress management doesn't mean we suddenly get a handle on all the stress in our lives. What I'm talking about is that we start to develop some practices that help us build more resilience into ourselves, so we're just better equipped to handle the stress we're faced with, so that our stress response gets a little more robust. This is the entire point of that pillar, because when we get a lot of stress and we have chronic stress over time, it heightens the level of that cortisol that we have in our body. And cortisol, like we talked about, breaks down our muscle tissue and increases our propensity to store body fat. And so that's one of the reasons why it's just helpful to start to develop some practices that are about tuning you into your body, calming your nervous system, putting you into that parasympathetic state, which is about rest and digest, as opposed to the sympathetic state of fight or flight that stress creates in your body. And you're still going to get hit with stressful things. You're still going to be faced with the unexpected and curveballs life throws our way. It's just part of being human, right? To be faced with stressful things. But how you have trained yourself to get into that parasympathetic state is what's going to really help you manage the stress that you're faced with. And it's going to help you avoid those long, prolonged spikes of the cortisol that will happen in your system. It's sort of like conditioning your muscles from your workouts so that you could handle anything physically demanding that came your way, right? Like if your workouts are training your body to be capable and strong to handle physical demands, a meditation piece or a journaling piece or a breathing practice that you develop, these are things that are going to help you develop that mental capacity, the mental resilience to withstand the impact that stress will have on you. So that's why I really encourage you to add in those types of practices and find something that really suits you and try things out. Because as we get into our perimenopause and postmenopausal years, adding that self-care piece helps you mitigate the impact that the stress has and how it impacts you now that your hormone levels have changed and you don't have the same heightened resilience that you had in your regular cycling years when estrogen was higher. So we just want to be more proactive with our self-care. We want to build those habits of resilience, mental resilience that help us handle the burden that stress puts on us from either meditation practice or breathing practice or whatever it is that helps you build that in like you prioritize your workouts, and it will help you so much. And being proactive with your other self-care pieces as well, like warming up or cooling down and more yoga days. And yoga, of course, will serve a dual purpose of grounding you and putting you into a restorative parasympathetic state and improving your flexibility and joint health. Those practices will just all help your body recover faster at any age. But we also start to lose our collagen and elastin as we age as well. So those self-care pieces will help you keep flexible, they'll help you be mobile and help you just really continue to push hard in the resistance training or explosive cardio workouts you do, especially over 40. So those are the three components of you seeing better results around your training. Taking the rest and recovery you need so your body can repair and come back stronger. And that changes as we go through time, and there are different strategies for training and recovery at different life stages. Second is eating enough of the key nutrients you need to fuel your tissue and support your energy levels. And third, supporting your stress response so you are more resilient to the stress you have to deal with, keeping your overall stress levels down so that the healthy stress your body deals with in a workout doesn't tip you over the edge. But before I say goodbye, can you guess which pillar of health we didn't talk about in this conversation yet? That's right, it's sleep. And yes, sleep is also super important. It's such a contributing factor in you seeing results from your workouts and how effective they'll be for you. It's just, sleep is one of those things that as we go through different life stages and seasons of our lives, we have different levels of control over. So, new moms and moms in general don't always get the luxury of having the perfect sleep schedule. Those who are caregivers for others often have erratic sleep habits just out of necessity. And shift workers really struggle with a sleep schedule. As our hormone levels fluctuate in the second half of our cycle, which I touched on earlier, we don't get as deep of sleep as we do in the first half of our cycle. Once our circulating estrogen and progesterone levels start to drop and we get those crazy hot flashes in perimenopause, our sleep can also suffer. As we age, we often get less sleep. So the reason I bring this up is because this is an important aspect of you getting results, but It's also the one you don't always have control over, and the one you have to really give yourself grace around when it's lacking. So when you sleep, you recover, repair, and restore your system. Your immune system is fortified, your hormone levels balance, and your brain and body tissue repair and restore. When you don't sleep well, your hormone levels are affected, causing testosterone and human growth hormone to drop, making it harder for your body to recover and harder to support muscle restoration and fat loss. So if you went and did a hard workout the next day after a poor night's sleep, it's the same issue that you have when you're underfueled, undernourished, or you're going into a workout with a lot of stress in your system. You're piling on top of a workout that's already breaking down your muscle tissue. You're already coming into it in a deficit and depleted. So you got to remember that the lack of sleep causes our cortisol levels to rise and remain elevated, which we know can also contribute to more muscle breakdown and fat storage. It impacts your hunger and fullness hormones, making you crave sugary and fatty foods. And since it affects your brain function and increases your sensitivity to pain, your workouts can just feel harder and take more effort. So it's just not a good idea to force yourself to go hard or do a hard workout if you haven't had good sleep for all of these reasons. And for the aspects of your sleep that you can control, do your best to implement them. Set a timer to get yourself ready for bed a little earlier so you're in bed and ready to go to sleep sooner and not distracted by your phone. This is a strategy that really helped me so much. I would just set different incremental timers throughout the evening when I knew I was more tempted to watch another show or just not go to bed. I would set a timer to put my pajamas on. I would set a timer to get in bed and brush my teeth. And I would then, start reading, and that would help me wind down a little better. So if that's helpful for you, try that out. You can consider turning your phone onto airplane mode if you can and read a book before bed. Dim your lights in the evening in your home, or consider using blue blocking glasses once the lights turn on around you to let your body know it's nighttime, and allow for your melatonin levels to naturally rise, which will make you more sleepy and help you fall asleep and stay asleep much better, because melatonin responds to light. And that's why I suggest monitoring how much bright light you're exposed to in the evening if you can. And make your room dark and cool. If you feel hot before bed, try taking a hot bath. I know it sounds counterintuitive, but your body will cool down rapidly after this, and this can help you get into that deeper sleep state. Cooling pads placed between your mattress and your sheets can also be amazing if you're running hot at night. And adaptogenic herbs are also really promising for helping to balance some of those erratic hormone spikes. And some women, may want to look into hormone replacement therapy. And both of those strategies, I advise you to talk to a doctor about. Get, blood tests done to see, where your hormone levels are at, so you can get a specific regimen. And I'll just share, personal experience. Those things have helped me a ton, especially in perimenopause, and I'm sure be helping me post-menopause as well. So really, when it comes to all of these different suggestions, remember my most important motto and my life philosophy, which is all or something. Do your best. Do what you can, and don't get discouraged or beat yourself up for not doing it all. Do the things you can do, and then do them again. Life is complicated. We're all going to age and experience different life stages, unexpected stress, and hopefully lots of unexpected joy as well. And our path forward is not usually a linear one, but we can make great strides over time by taking what action we can and then continuing forward, especially when it comes to our health, which is one of the most precious resources we have. The other, in my opinion, is time. So being as healthy as possible to go through time seems to me to be a very worthy pursuit. And if you're here with me, I'm guessing maybe you feel that way too. So thank you so much for tuning in today, and I hope you've gained some valuable insight and ideas. If you're hungry for more, there are tons of articles I've written for women specifically on my website, thebettyrocker.com. Check the women's health category for training guides for your cycle, for perimenopause and post-menopause, and check out the recipe section for great recipes for balanced, healthy meals, and check out my awesome meal plans as well, which are done for you, including my newest program, My Dinner Plan, that sets you up for a plan for 6 months worth of entrees. You can also shop my organic protein powders too to help you boost your protein intake with ease. And you can find free workouts on my website with follow along videos. And I've got some amazing training programs too, designed for women in all life stages with custom tracks and programming that you can follow to have the best workouts and the right amount of recovery for your life stage so that you don't have to figure this all out on your own. In Rock Your Life, which is my online home gym membership, you'll find over 50 challenge programs that have unique tracks for women in each life stage, plus access to my office hours, support from me and the Team Betty Rocker coaches, access to new drop-in classes all week long, our complete healthy recipe collection, and so much more. There is a whole Betty Rock You verse to explore, so don't miss out. You can find all of that at thebettyrocker.com. And as always, I'm Betty Rocker, and you are so awesome, flawsome, and amazing. Don't forget it, Rockstar. I'll be back soon. Have a great day. Bye for now.
Purposes only. Statements and views expressed on this podcast are not medical advice. This podcast is